Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Braid Hero here, and I'm gonna deck profile my Cosmoman deck profile. So jumping into it, we're playing 3 of the Eska gears, the main Cosmoman that you always want to be on. The other ones are kind of, unfortunately, power creep. But this one is absolutely insane since he gets plus 10 attack and defense, plus a crit for each soul it has. And with cards like Future Palettes, it can get pretty insane with how huge you are and how hard it is for some decks to hit your numbers and how hard you hit in general because you're swinging for like 5+ crit every turn. It's absolutely insane. And then we play 4 Hydro Mariners. Hydro Mariner is very good because it's just an on-place charge, draw, gain life, which comes up because Gauge is very, very important in this deck. And plus you can use it on your opponent's turn with the new Cosmoman as well, which is really cool. Then I'm playing 4 Cosmo Falcon 2s. This card is a very good searcher because you just discard a Galaxy defense team and you can check top 5, add 1 Exalt, 1 defense, which is deck thinning. So deck thinning is deck winning. Plus, again, you can just keep using these since they're not once per turns. And then I'm playing 3 Secundas XL. This is just a very good card to have on the board when you want to transform. It does also protect your souls, which is relevant, as well as destruction and bounce effects. It doesn't come up too much, but there are definitely matchups where this card effect saves you. And then I'm playing 3 Taco Scaribis. This card is great because you can afford to play it for one. It's got a very cheap ride cost and the off chance you have to ride this to get some of your effects going, like your spells. And then it has the counteract during each player's attack phase, pay a life, declare a card type, look at your opponent's hand. If there's at least one of the declared card among them, deal 2. Then if 3 or more, you draw 2. So the fact that it burns for 2 makes FTKing a lot easier in this deck if your opponent doesn't see a shield, which is just a free cheese win. Otherwise, you're just chipping away at their life on their turn and your turn, so they just die faster anyway. And drawing cards, if you actually manage to call right, is great. Since after the first time, you generally have a feel for what their hand is, unless they play through all their cards on their turn, which happens a lot in Buddyfight because of how solitaire this game can be. And then we're playing 2 Time Soldier Spygars. This is your Daryl Burke, very good generic card to play in almost every Hero World deck. Check top 3, add 1 to hand, drop the rest. And then lastly, I'm playing 2 of the Hero World Jackknife. It allows you to go further into plus crits on your board, since when you have your item equipped, it becomes plus 10k plus 2 crit to all your cards on your field. So your item gets to swing even harder, which helps facilitate the FTKs and OTKs what this deck can do. Moving on to our spells, I'm playing 2 future card Buddyfights to search out our Buddy, which also gives us plus 2 crit in the battle phase, which helps again with those FTK numbers. And then we're playing 4 future palettes since our Buddy is our item, and our item gains crit for each in soul, and this card also gives you plus 5,000 attack and defense while in soul, cannot be destroyed, leave the field, or rest on by your opponent's card effects, which is a lot of protection, which is very great since you want to protect this item and you want it on your field at all times. And then it also draws you a card, which is really nice. Playing 4 Transform Cosmomans are Searcher for Cosmoman, or you can just fetch cards out of your drop zone that are Galaxy Exalts or size 2 or less Galaxy defense teams, so you can just keep searching and digging for stuff. Then I'm playing 2 Cosmo Changes. This helps you go back into an Eska gear if you happen to lose all your souls and you don't get much going for you, or you can just use it to get 2 gauge since it is an optional transform because it says you may transform, so you just can also just get 2 gauge as a counter, which is nice. And then 2 Keys of Justice to draw cards, 2 hero times to, in a sense, also draw a card and get gauge, 2 draw extras to draw cards. This deck is very solitaire. 2 hyper energies because this deck does burn through a lot of gauge, as I mentioned. 2 Cosmos Scarves, a semi-searchable defense shield, which can prevent cards from standing, and a lot of cards multi-attack in this game, so it can keep you alive. And then 3 Buddy Blocks. Pretty self-explanatory since Buddy Block is just such a good generic card, and a lot of decks multi-attack or just attack a lot of times in the battle phase. But this deck can play around that since you just can swing huge with your item. And then lastly, the 2 spells are Grace of the Sun Deity to prevent burn and to also give more protection to your Cosmoman if you need to. And lastly, we're playing 2 Lost Worlds because if all else fails, this deck can turtle and you can go into Lost World and win more with much better monsters outside of just relying on your item, especially if your item souls start to dwindle. You have a lot more follow-up plays. And that was the deck profile. I'll be doing a test hands after this, so stay tuned for that. And we are back. We're here to do our test hands, and I'm going to shuffle a bit on camera so you guys can see I'm not a cheddar stacker man. Give ourselves some pain and suffering because we're not used to shuffling double sleeves for 50 card decks because we've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh, which is 40 cards. A lot smaller to shuffle. My tiny hands cannot handle. Alright, half cut and 3, 6 to start, plus 2 in our gauge. What do we win? We won a very solid starting hand. Wow, cool. Draw. Since we're trying to FTK here, don't need shields. Oh, we're actually just broken. This is gonna put us at 5 crit already, plus this 7 crit. And Jackknife is gonna put us at 9 crit. So we'll start off with future card Buddyfight. Searching our Eska gear. Cut half and charge 2. And since we don't have the starter, we can do one of 2 things here. We can play a little greedy and call this, discarding one of these. It's actually probably what I'm going to do here because we have this to fall back on if we whiff. So check 5. We did in fact whiff, but we can get some gauge back through this, which it looks like this hand we're going to burn a lot, and then we can always get these out of our drop zone, which we already have one, so it's fine. And then we can call this, get this to soul, and then we can cast Pay 2 Life to search our Eska gear. Deck thinning is deck winning. And because we searched for our Exalt, we draw 1. Oh, we're actually broken. Okay, so we will Buddy Transform, paying our 3 gauge and putting the top 3 cards into the soul. No extra value there, and our 3 gauge. And then this skill procs, charge 2 and draw. Well, we can see how greedy we are, but I think we just want to play a little on the safe side here. To do this first, charge, draw, gain a life. Oh, alright. Looks like we got another one. Charge, draw, gain a life. So this card's dead. You can call this over. Use effect. Check 5 for a defense and an exalt. So if you want to live, you can do this, but if you want to be greedy, pretend there's no loyalties. We just keep going. Charge, draw, gain a life. That's a pretty good card. Then we can just begin using these. pay a gauge, go to soul, draw a card, pay a gauge, go to soul, draw a card, and lastly pay the gauge, soul, draw a card, and cast, draw 2. Oh, that's unfortunately dead. Using Cosmoman skill to call from drop zone. Charge, draw, gain a life. Okay, that's just awkward. Call, discard one of these, we don't need more of that. Check 5. We can get an exalt and a defense team. And then we can call it again. Discard, check 5. And we can get a defense team. Can call this, oops, sorry. Call this over, pay our 2 gauge. Rip in Lost Worlds. So we're looking at 6 soul, which makes this an 8 crit. Once we enter the battle phase, future card Buddyfight is going to put us at 10 crit, and then Jackknife is going to give us an extra 2 crit. So we'll be swinging for 12 crit once we hit the battle phase. We just enter battle phase, plus crit from future card Buddyfight, and swing for 12. Hopefully they don't have the shield. And they would have to hit over 1, 2, 3. This is 15 plus 30, 45, 55, 65, 75, 85, minus 1 at the end of turn. So it should be 75, if my math is correct, between 5 cards and soul puts you at 60, and then yeah, the 3, 15. So they have to hit over 75,000 for you to even take any damage during the next turn. And then you can also chump block soul with Jackknife and Grace of the Sun to try to keep you alive. And then next turn they have to deal with the attacks, the triple attacks of Gear with 75,000 power. So that's going to be fun for them, with Penetrate as well. But yeah, that is an example of a test hand that this deck does. It's absolutely disgusting, and that's why React Moons are good against this deck, because it just shuts down this card for a turn because you can't do anything about it. Yeah, that was the video. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, I'd like to hear them in the comments down below. Any tips, texts, changes to the deck you'd make, I'd love to hear it. And if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.